The Cardinals schedule breakdown train continues. Next stop, Cliffy Town.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Come in, Locked On Cardinals. Alex Clancy here. Follow me on Twitter, Clancy's Corner. Follow the podcast and Locked On AZ Cards. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen, free wherever you get your podcast, and on YouTube, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Please go to the YouTube channel, search Locked On Arizona Cardinals, hit that subscribe button, man. Turn notifications on. If you missed yesterday's show, I am in the midst of doing a 6-episode schedule breakdown, one segment for every game, including the bye week for the Cardinals. Discuss surface level things, a little bit more in-depth things. It's really just to kind of get a gauge on, first off, how difficult this Cardinals season is going to be schedule-wise, and number two, what absolutely needs to happen for the Cardinals to stay in contention in these games. And if you tell me at the end of the year the Cardinals won 10 games, would I be shocked? I'd be a little surprised, but not like, oh no, that's never going to happen, like if they would have won 10 games last year. But certain things do need to happen for the Cardinals to win games. And it all starts and ends with Kyler Murray, obviously. But especially on the defensive side of the ball, the young players really need to step up if the Cardinals want to win more games than they lose. Week 4, the Washington professional football team and Kliff Kingsbury. You excited about that? You should be. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Week 4, after a brutal start to the season, at Buffalo, at home against the Rams, at home against Detroit, the Cardinals stay at home, and they welcome the Jaden Daniels-led Washington Commanders. Offensive coordinator number 1 in your hearts, head coach number 0 in your hearts, Kliff Kingsbury will be coming probably with his bucket hat in tow. So, all joking aside, this is a winnable game for the Arizona Cardinals. This is a Cardinals should win game. And it's going to be fascinating to see what Kliff Kingsbury does with Jaden Daniels, all joking aside. And Jaden Daniels is big. He's 6'3", I believe. He's fast. He's elusive. He played 39 years in college. So he's more of an adult than some of these younger guys who only played a couple years. With that, they've added Austin Eckler. Brian Robinson's still there. The defense has regressed after, letting Chase Young and Montez Sweat go. And it's a team that is definitely higher on the dysfunction ladder than the Cardinals, but they also are turning over new leaves, new ownership. Adam Peters is there now, and they've got a lot of cap space, so this is a team that you could see on the rise in coming years, but it's not in coming years. It's 2024, and it's the Cardinals, and it's week 4. So this being a winnable game for the Cardinals in a couple different ways. One, it's going to be, it's also a perfectly timed game for the Cardinals in their calendar, because they're going to play 3 tough opponents. They're going to learn a lot about what they are and what they still need to work on through the first 3 weeks. And they're able to have a home game against a winnable team, or having a winnable game at home against a team that's, in transition. Rookie quarterback, new head coach, new OC, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the ways the Cardinals get a dub against Washington at home is you make it very difficult for a rookie quarterback to get comfortable. And that's the dictionary definition of how you beat teams that have rookie quarterbacks. Sure, there are some rookies, and the Cardinals are going to be playing a couple of them down the stretch here. Some rookies who just are more ready from the jump than others. And we'll see what Jaden Daniels is. He's one of the more polarizing guys. He won the Heisman, kind of backed into it because Caleb Williams didn't want it. Drake May didn't want it. Nobody really wanted it. Nobody played well enough. And Jaden Daniels put up absolutely bonkers numbers for the Bayou Bengals in LSU. Absolutely insane numbers on the ground and through the air. The way to make a rookie quarterback uncomfortable is you remember the Titans, that you blitz all night. You give him looks he hasn't seen in college before in the SEC, where defense isn't what it once was for a large portion of that conference. Nick Rallis and Jonathan Gannon are going to be ready to tee off in whatever way that is. Maybe it's dropping back into coverage and making him throw the ball, which is something that, while effective most of the time, I mean, he's got some wild in him, accuracy-wise. Jane Daniels does. So I think that, the way that the Cardinals get a dub against him and keep him contained is do not let his legs bail him out. So a perfect mix of circumstantial blisses and just letting him, regardless of how young the Cardinals secondary is, letting him make the mistakes and the Cardinals feasting on him. And just not letting him run, 15 times for 95 yards and 2 touchdowns. We'll see what the offense of Kliff Kingsbury looks like. Again, all joking aside, we'll see what that looks like. We don't know. But if we do see a lot of wide receiver screens and a lot of go routes on third down, it's like, okay, well, nothing's changed. And the Cardinals should be able to be even more opportunistic. Namely, Jalen Thompson and Budda Baker, who can just read, because, they played against it in practice all the time. So even more so, that's another reason why this should be a dub for the Cardinals. Now, offensively, the defense is improved a bit from last year, and the Cardinals should still be able to just Swiss cheese this defense. They've got the weapons. You want to stack 8? Cool. Kyler Murray's going to throw the ball a little bit more to the outside. Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch. You want to, bracket coverage Trey McBride and or Marvin Harrison Jr. If Marvin Harrison Jr. has a couple of good weeks early on, he's going to get the star treatment right away from opposing defenses. And this could very well be the first one. Cool. You run the ball 30-plus times with James Conner and Trey Benson, and you pepper in Kyler Murray running the ball a little bit too. Good luck trying to stop both, because you're not going to be able to. But it does come down, and I ended yesterday's show talking about this. It does come down to Kyler Murray taking that jump. I see this as a revenge game for Kyler Murray in the sense that the guy who was holding him back for so long is on the other side. He doesn't have that anymore. And now he can show what he's like without, Kliff Kingsbury being the head coach and calling the plays. Very rarely do you see any athlete of any sport get up for a game more than revenge games. And revenge games are, they have different definitions. This is a revenge game. This is a revenge game. And I fully expect Kyler Murray to have maybe his best outing of the season up until that point in week 4 at home against Washington. Should 100% be a dub for the Cardinals. The next 2 weeks, not so easy. Continuing the murderer's row of games for the Cardinals during the first 7 or 8 weeks of the season. The 49ers at Levi Stadium are next. And same cast of characters. Can the Cardinals get a dub on the road? I'll discuss it next. Locked on Cardinals. Your team every day. This episode of Locked on Cardinals is brought to you by the Game Time app. It's an authorized dealer, ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down as you get closer to the game. So like you're getting off work, you're like, hey, you know what? Let's check the Game Time app. Let's see what the ticket prices are as, the Diamondbacks are, first pitch is at 7:05. You're off work at 6. Be like, oh, let's go home change. Let's go check out the game. Tickets get lower closer to game time. Plus, if you want to sit in a different part of the stadium, if you want to, go home run ball hunting, if you want to go foul ball hunting and sit right behind home plate, and you don't necessarily know what the vantage points are going to be from those specific spots, Game Time has you covered there. You get a panoramic view of your seat before you buy it. Click on it. Oh, section 220, row 8, seat 22. I've never sat there before. Let's click on and see exactly what I'll be looking at if I were to buy these tickets. Game Time has you covered. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets, especially MLB tickets, with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account or redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Alex Clancy, Locked on Cardinals. Hi. Please go to the YouTube channel, search Locked on Arizona Cardinals. Hit that subscribe button. Turn notifications on. Cardinals go to Levi Stadium and play the San Francisco 49ers in week 5. There are very few teams who didn't have like at least somewhat of a minor overhaul this season to their roster. 49ers, rinse and repeat. This is all because of the Brock Purdy rookie deal. They can still pay everybody. Christian McCaffrey making a lot of money. Deebo Samuel still making a lot of money. George Kittle still making a lot of money. Nick Bosa, Javon Hargrave still making a lot of money. Fred Warner still making a lot of money. Brandon Ayuk not making so much money. So we'll see at this point. You know, I'm assuming that they're going to work out a deal like they always do. But this is the same cast of characters. What the Cardinals don't have is the same cast of characters, and that's a good thing. You don't want the same cast of characters as they had last year. So the way to beat the 49ers, it's pick your poison on off or on defense. But let's pivot to the offensive side first. How do you beat the San Francisco 49ers? How does this offense beat the San Francisco 49ers? One, the left and right tackle have to play well. The offensive line as a whole has to play well. Nick Bosa. I mean, Nick Bosa is turning into the new Aaron Donald. I know they don't play exact same position, but Nick Bosa is an absolute meteoric star in the NFL. The Cardinals have to stop. The Cardinals have to stop Fred Warner. The Cardinals have to keep Charcavius Ward honest. The Cardinals have to be able to outwit the 49ers. And now they've got the skill position players to do so. This is going to be a Kyler Murray game. And the offensive line needs to be Kyler Murray's best friend. That's why you draft Paris Johnson Jr. 2 years ago. That's why you bring over Jonah Williams to play on the right side, move Paris Johnson to the left side. That's why you draft offensive linemen. That's why, well, they got lucky. I mean, Jalti Frold has been great. And Will Hernandez has been great at right guard. This is the best offensive line the Cardinals have had in quite some time. And this is going to be yet another test with potentially the best front seven in football. So this is going to be a game, especially on the road, young defense the Cardinals have, where the offense needs to carry the weight. The best defense the Arizona Cardinals are going to have in 2024 is the offense having long, sustained drives. I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. And that starts with Kyler Murray. It starts with James Conner. It starts with the offensive line. If the Cardinals go on the road after playing Buffalo, the Rams, Detroit, Washington, and they get a win on Sunday in San Francisco, we're having very different conversations. We're going to be having wildly different conversations. If the Cardinals, like through 6 weeks, through Green Bay, which I'll discuss next, if the Cardinals are 3-3, massive win. Massive win. And this isn't like a green ribbon ceremony. These are very, very tough teams the Cardinals are going to be playing early on. They did not get a last place schedule this year. Very, very tough start to the season. So when you look at the Cardinals and you look at their history in San Francisco, they've got wins in San Francisco. Anybody remember Josh Rosen's 75-yard touchdown bomb to Christian Kirk? First play of the game on offense? Yeah, they've got wins. But what reminds me of the 49ers, first play, Isaiah Simmons rookie year, I think it was Raheem Mostert, runs a route, catches it middle of the field, and gone for 75 yards. That's what I remember. That's a Kyle Shanahan offense that has just haunted the Arizona Cardinals. Christian McCaffrey, best player in football. That's not a quarterback. I don't care. He just is. He does everything. He does everything well. But this is going to start and end with Kyler Murray and this new look offense. Can Drew Petzing play that boring, play the hits, run the ball, run play action, 5-minute drives, 6-minute drives, keeping this high-powered offense off the field of the 49ers? Because if not, the 49ers are going to do what they do. This is a young defense, once again. It's going to be difficult for the Arizona Cardinals defense to be relied upon with the Cardinals offense not performing. We've seen that. It's not a good recipe for success. So it's going to be the same thing. Can you get Brock Purdy to make mistakes? We've seen him make mistakes. the Kyle Shanahan offense, him and Andy Reid, it's just what they do. They look very different. A lot less boxy in Kansas City. But it's going to be the same thing. You're going to pick your poison. You're going to scheme against stopping Christian McCaffrey or stopping George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk. And, Debo gets his. You can't stop everybody. But the way to cut the head off the snake is to get in the backfield to the quarterback. The rookie corners for the Cardinals are going to grow up really quickly during the first 5 weeks. And I think it's fantastic. I said that yesterday. Like, this is the best way. Let it rip. Let it rip. Let Nick Rallis and Jonathan Gannon do their jobs. And if the Cardinals can get a win week 5 in San Francisco, we're going to be talking very differently about this team. There's always a couple teams who surprise people early on. The Cardinals are healthy. They've got talent. They've got good coaching. And it's yet to be determined on if they're ready to take that next step this year or if they're going to just win more games than they did last year and really, really emerge and arrive in 2025. This is one of those games. But it's no secret. It's still the same 49ers. Still got the same damn roster. They drafted Ricky Pearsall. But it's still the same roster. The Cardinals just need to find a way to stay on the field offensively, keep that high-powered offense off the field, and get a dub on the road in Week 5 at Levi Stadium in San Francisco. Lambeau's next. Can the Cardinals slow down another high-powered young offense? We'll discuss it next. Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals. Your team every day. Week 6, Green Bay Packers, Lambeau Field. The NFC North looks a little different than it once did. No longer is it the Aaron Rodgers Green Bay Packers atop the NFC North every single year with all the other 3 teams looking up saying, how are we going to get up there? Now it's kind of an open race. And what Jordan Love did last year, aside from throw the ball across his body on what ended up being the ending drive in the playoff game against 49ers, showed everyone that they got the right guy to supplant Aaron Rodgers, which is Looney Tunes, bonkers, and we're living in a simulation. With that, the Cardinals go to Lambeau after playing a tough stretch through the first 5 weeks, and they're, it's not going to get any easier. Let's on the defensive side of the ball for Green Bay, okay? They still have got Preston Smith, Devontae Wyatt, Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary. One of the better front fours in football. One of the best corners in football, Jair Alexander. They brought over Xavier McKinney, free safety from the Giants, who Joshua Dobbs ran over last year en route to an angry run touchdown. They brought Josh Jacobs over to bolster the run game. And this team looks to be a perennial playoff team. Christian Watson, Luke Musgrave, they got Romeo Dobbs, Dontavian Wicks, Jaden Reed. Like, they've got pieces. And the Cardinals are going to have some struggles. On the road, I remember what was the best performance against Green Bay. I think they were 2-score underdogs a handful of years ago, and Chase Edmonds just went bonkers. Good times. This is another game where Kyler Murray's just going to have to take over. And another game where we're going to see a young pass rush and a young cornerback room be tested. Jordan Love has a skill set just like Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. Not to say he's as good, better, obviously not better, but, he's elusive. He can move outside of the pocket. He throws well on the run, and he can pick up chunky yards with his legs. So he does keep opposing defenses honest with his ability to run the ball. He's kind of a wild card. Like, he threw some really bad interceptions last year. But he also came back super efficient, throwing 3 touchdowns in a game, a handful of games, and he's a guy who's on the rise. And the Cardinals' ability, after going on the road, playing against San Francisco, to then fly to Green Bay to play a tough matchup against a young and up-and-coming team, just like themselves, is just another mini litmus test for where this team is. And I know you could say that about every week, about every team. oh, this is a litmus test. Every game is, because, as you get into the second chapter of the NFL season, which is the next 4 weeks, like, if the Cardinals are 2-5 or 2-4 after 6 weeks, it's not a loss. If they're 3-3, it's a win, and everything better than that is better than that. Like, so say the Cardinals are 3-2 going into week 6, and they can go and really, really put a stamp on the 2024 season and get another tough road win against Green Bay and Matt LaFleur's offense and, everything he's done there, we're going to be having very different conversations. But how will the Cardinals win in Green Bay, just like how they win against Washington? All of the younger quarterbacks, and I know Jordan Love is older in age because he sat for 2 decades behind Aaron Rodgers, but this is still his second full year of starting. The sophomore slump could definitely be around the corner unless he becomes the next Aaron Rodgers. Have to make Jordan Love beat himself. You have to put pressure on him in situations to where he makes mistakes. And that's something that, with the clean slate that this defense was starting last year, and you've added some talent, both young and veteran, this offseason, like, these are games where you have to have the right game plan to be able to make Jordan Love make mistakes. Now, again, it doesn't have to be getting him on the ground and counting for sacks. All you have to do is get him a little bit rattled, whether it be on the run behind the line of scrimmage, trying to throw the ball off one foot, and then you have, this leveled up talent secondary, even though they're young, just be ready and waiting. That's one. Blowing up the pocket, it's the simplest way. And this is something that over the last couple seasons, it's like, well, maybe they should have invested more in the pass rush. And now you're kind of seeing, when they started over, just how truly talentless the pass rush was. They didn't have a sack for almost 2 months last year to end the season. Almost 2 months? Not one? That's the baseline point. So when I say it doesn't have to be sacks, it just has to be pressures. B.J. Ojulari is going to be 22 games into his career at this point. If he's going to be the leader of the pass rush, he will be well ready to be doing it in Lambeau in week 6. Darius Robinson, we'll see what he can do 6 weeks into his career. It's really all about the pass rush first, because that sets the tone for everything else. That is the quickest way to blow up a game plan. The quickest way to blow up an offensive game plan is a good pass rush. Doesn't matter if you call the best play in the world for the best, for whatever base a specific team is running. If the quarterback doesn't have time, doesn't matter. So as we get into like the heart of the season, the pass rush has to continuously get better. And this is one of those games against an offense, super high-powered, really young, really talented, where the Cardinals are going to have to get in Jordan Love's kitchen. Force turnovers. And then on the offensive side of the ball, it's going to be rinse and repeat. Run the offense. Run this boring offense that's going to be so much more exciting this year, obviously. Run the ball, run play action, feature Marvin Harrison Jr., which you'd hope at this point Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be well on his way, showing everybody why he went number 4 overall, and many other drafts could have gone number 1. This is the beginning of that. And it's going to be in an iconic place with rabid fans, and getting a win like this is signature, just like getting a win in San Francisco is. It's different. You don't obviously play Green Bay every year. But if the Cardinals, through 6 weeks, can finish 3-3, that's a win. Anything better? Incredible. 2-4, expected. 1-5 is kind of an oh no, because you expect them to beat Washington. I don't expect them to lose to all the other teams. And maybe I'm severely undervaluing what they're going to be able to do right out the gate. Just a little gun shy. But through these first 6 weeks and through these first 2 episodes of the series that I'm doing, you look at the murderer's row nature of it. On the road at Buffalo, at home against the Rams, at home against Detroit, at home against Washington, and then on the road in San Francisco and Green Bay in back-to-back weeks. Doesn't get much more difficult than that. Doesn't get much more difficult than that. If the Cardinals can come out 3-3, which is somewhat unscathed, it would be a massive win and a massive testament not only to the players, to the coaches, to the GM, everybody involved. I know that everybody wants to win every game, and I know that anytime a team loses, nobody's happy. And if the Cardinals finish 3-3 through the first 6 weeks, in my opinion at least, it'll be a massive win. Week 7, 8, 9, tomorrow. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Remember, without you, there is no me. I'll talk to you then.